History made. Chicago-born Robert Francis Prevost becomes Pope Leo XIV, the first American ever to lead the Catholic Church. What will this former Peru missionary and Vatican insider bring to St. Peter's throne? White Smoke delivers daily bulletins tracking this unprecedented pontificate as it unfolds. Will Leo XIV continue Francis's inclusive vision or forge a new path blending American pragmatism with Latin American experience? And what does his papal name choice signal about his priorities? White Smoke. Essential daily insights where ancient tradition meets modern challenge. New episodes every day wherever you get your podcasts.
Calaroga Shark Media.
From Washington, D.C., which is where we are, and Melania isn't, this is Ballot.
Fun fact, I have slept with Donald Trump as many times this year as his wife. Let's hit this. Well, it seems the First Lady has redefined what it means to work from home by barely working from the White House at all. According to the New York Times, Melania Trump has spent fewer than 14 days at the White House in the 108 days since her husband's inauguration. That's right. While Donald Trump is busy declaring fake holidays that no one gets to celebrate, his wife is busy, not being anywhere near him. The White House has essentially become her least favorite timeshare. Historian Catherine Jellison called Melania the most low-profile First Lady since Bess Truman, which is saying something considering Bess Truman served in the 1940s. Back when working remotely meant using a really long extension cord. When Fox News asked where she planned to spend her time during this term, Melania said, "I will be in the White House, and, when I need to be in New York, I will be in New York. When I need to be in Palm Beach, I will be in Palm Beach." She forgot to add, "When I need to be as far away from Washington as physically possible, I will be as far away from Washington as physically possible." She did clarify her priorities. "My first priority is, to be a mom, to be a First Lady, to be a wife." Notice how First Lady is sandwiched in the middle there, like she's trying to hide it between two things she actually cares about. Of course, administration officials insist she's at the White House more often than the public knows. Which means either she's disguised as a potted plant in the Rose Garden, or perhaps they're counting her appearances via FaceTime. Her friend Paolo Zampoli claims she loves the White House and loves the role of serving as our First Lady, which explains why she treats visiting it like I treat going to the dentist, necessary but best kept to a bare minimum of twice a year. At this point, the White House staff probably has a "Welcome Back Mrs. Trump" sign they can quickly dust off whenever she deigns to make an appearance. The Vatican's got itself a new boss, and if you thought your family holiday dinners were awkward, wait till you hear about the Prevost brothers. While the world celebrates the election of Pope Leo XIV, formerly known as Robert Prevost, there's one guy in Port Charlotte, Florida, who's probably scrolling through Facebook with his jaw on the floor. That would be Louis Prevost, the Pope's older brother, who just yesterday was sharing spicy memes about Nancy Pelosi and now has to figure out what to get the Pope for Christmas. Prevost told the New York Times he's shocked by his brother's election, joking, "Geez, it was like just yesterday. I was throwing him down the stairs, and now he's Pope." Which is exactly what every older sibling thinks when their annoying little brother becomes the spiritual leader of 1.3 billion Catholics. Here's where things get interesting. These two brothers couldn't be more different if one was Batman and the other was the Joker. The new Pope has been retweeting articles comparing immigrants to Jesus Christ and criticizing J.D. Vance's approach to Christianity. Meanwhile, brother Louis has been posting Facebook memes calling Democrats communists and suggesting they should be, and I quote, "tarred, feathered, and rode out of town on a donkey." Louis is such a Trump superfan that he once compared the former president to Jesus Christ, telling a friend, not comparing him to or saying he is like Christ, but both seem to be suffering the same treatment at the hands of the evil ones. Because apparently getting fact-checked on Twitter is exactly like being crucified. The posts get wilder. Louis shared a video of Nancy Pelosi from 1996 with commentary so colorful I can't repeat it on television. But let's just say It involved references to dating apps that didn't exist in the 90s. He's also posted memes showing mental institutions with the caption, "Where the woke lived before the 70s," and called for Democrats who met with Zelensky to be arrested for treason. Meanwhile, his brother, the Pope, is out here retweeting articles critical of the Trump administration and advocating for immigrants and refugees. Lewis must be sitting there thinking, I spent all those years stuffing him in lockers for this? The kicker is that Lewis actually thinks his brother will be a little more conservative than Pope Francis. Based on what? The fact that they both like Italian food? Because their social media activity suggests they're about as ideologically aligned as Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz. Lewis did take a break from his communist conspiracy theories to congratulate his brother when he became a cardinal back in 2023, writing, "Woke up this morning on my birthday and found out my brother was one of the 21 announced as new cardinals by Pope Francis today. Congratulations, Rob." Which is nice, though I'm guessing the birthday present that year was awkward. Thanks for the MAGA hat, Lewis. I'll put it right next to my mitre. The best part? Lewis told The Times he thinks his brother will do a bang-up job as Pope. Though based on his Facebook feed, his definition of a bang-up job probably involves building a wall around Vatican City and making the Lutherans pay for it. You know what they say. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. And in this case, one brother chose the priesthood and the other chose to share memes comparing Biden to Hitler. Thanksgiving at the Prevost house is about to get very interesting.
What happens when one of the most powerful men in music is accused of some of the most serious crimes imaginable? This is Did He Do It?, a daily podcast following the federal sex crimes trial of Sean Diddy Combs. I'm your host, Nate Oliver, and every weekday I'll take you inside the courtroom, where prosecutors say Combs ran a criminal enterprise of sex trafficking, coercion, and abuse, using his fame, fortune, and influence to silence victims and control lives. We'll cover the big stories and the small moments that could shift the verdict. The trial has begun. The questions are piling up. And every day we'll be asking the same thing. Did he do it? Follow now wherever you get your podcasts.
Tired of doom scrolling? Want news that won't make you want to live in a bunker? Check out 5 Good News Stories, where they find the silver lining in a world that's usually lined with something much less pleasant. The gang at 5 Good News Stories dig through the headlines to find 5 stories that prove humanity hasn't completely lost its mind. It's pretty much the opposite of this show. From scientific breakthroughs nobody's talking about to random acts of kindness that restore your faith in humanity, all delivered with the cutting wit you deserve. 5 Good News Stories, because sometimes the news doesn't have to suck. Subscribe to 5 Good News Stories wherever you get your podcasts. The Army just dropped their new fitness test requirements, and let me tell you, it's tougher than deciding whether to hit snooze on your alarm for the 5th time. Starting June 1st, combat soldiers will have to meet new standards that don't care about your gender. Everyone gets the same workout homework. The test includes 5 events that sound like they were designed by someone who really misses high school gym class. We've got deadlifts, push-ups, planks, a 2-mile run, and something called the sprint drag carry, which sounds less like an exercise and more like what you do when your friend has too much fun at happy hour. For the deadlift, 30-year-old combat soldiers need to lift 150 pounds. That's basically like picking up your entire wardrobe after you've spent an hour deciding what to wear. They use a hexagonal bar, which apparently makes it safer than a regular barbell. Because when you're hoisting heavy metal off the ground, safety is suddenly everyone's top priority. The push-ups are special too. They're called hand-release push-ups. After each rep, you have to lift your hands off the ground and spread them out like you're making snow angels on your gym floor. You need to do at least 14 in 2 minutes. The Army's been obsessed with push-ups since 1944. Talk about commitment issues. Then there's the sprint drag carry, which requires you to drag a 90-pound sled. That's right, the Army wants you to pull a sled like you're training for the world's most aggressive Christmas pageant. You also shuffle sideways and carry 2 40-pound weights. because apparently regular running wasn't complicated enough. The plank requirement is 1 minute and 20 seconds. That might not sound like much until you're actually doing it, and suddenly time moves slower than your DMV appointment. Military.com reports the average soldier holds it for over 2 minutes. Show-offs. And finally, there's the 2-mile run. Because after all that lifting, dragging, and planking, what you really want to do is go for a nice jog, right? Some civilians are voluntarily doing this test just for fun. There are people out there thinking, you know what my weekend needs? Military-grade exhaustion. But hey, if you're looking for a workout that tests everything from your strength to your sanity, the Army's got you covered. So if you're feeling ambitious, give it a shot. Just remember, when you're dragging that sled across the gym floor while other people stare at you like you've lost your mind, you can proudly say you're training like a soldier. Or at least trying not to collapse like one. As for me, I will be here in the studio, drinking Irish coffee and telling jokes written by AI.